We're back, Rap Soup, 1999. We got Matt, Mike, and Nick. We are on the last year of the 90s. We finished our first decade, and this was another great year. I personally think it's my second favorite year that we've done so far. How do you guys feel about it?
99 was definitely interesting. A lot of really good albums came out. A lot of interesting sounds happened. It definitely has progressed past what we started with, that's for sure. And you can see like the early samplings of what happened in the early 2000s. So this is it's crazy to see right before the year 2000, like what people were going on just to finish off the 90s. And a lot of people had really good endings. So I'm a fan of the year.
Yeah, I kind of feel like this was the year for kind of lyricism getting taken to the next level in a way. I feel like it's the pinnacle of the underground, kind of. Like a lot of the underground people broke out, like Mos Def. I mean, they had Black Star the year before that, but like Pharoahe, Monch, and all that. There's just so much good lyricism this year. I really liked it.
I definitely agree, dude. The underground scene definitely took a step up in 1999. There was some great albums that I'd never even heard of before.
Yeah, we had two from Nas, Eminem's first real album, Dre. Just a bunch of heavy hitters coming out this year. A lot of star power happening.
All right, so pause here to see a list of the albums that we listened to this year.
So before we get into our top five, we're going to do a couple honorable mentions because there are albums that we listen to that do deserve this beyond just a little text on the screen. So we're going to get into those first. I have two to talk about. The first album I'm talking about is Nia by Blackalicious. I've never heard any of them before. I am so unfamiliar what this was. I was blown away by how sick this album was. A lot of other years is probably getting top five for me. Super positive, super like helpful and encouraging. Some of the best rapping, no joke, on an album. The flows, the rhymes. I'm a big alliteration guy. I love alliteration. The number one alliteration album I've ever heard, and nothing even comes close. Like, they made it a point to do this. So you guys have to listen to this because I think some people will have it super high on their list. It could have been 4 for me, could have been 5. I have it as 6, but fantastic. And then this also is a year that Nas released 2 albums, I Am and Nastradamus. The one thing I want to say about these two is Nas doesn't remember these albums as part of his discography. I was reading something, he doesn't even remember what songs are on here. It's almost like they barely exist to him, which is weird because they're good. But I feel like that was interesting. Something I read.
Was he on drugs? Why does he not remember?
Dude, I know. I don't know. I don't remember his specific reasoning, but he's I think I could recall 2 songs off I Am.
That's crazy.
I was like, but then you think about how many albums he's actually made and how many songs he's on. I guess you're gonna forget some at some point, but it's just weird that 99 left his head. So, what are your guys' honorable mentions?
Couple honorable mentions for me. Getty Green by Project Pat. Sounds like music today. That dude, I don't know how to explain it, but it's, those funk songs you hear on Instagram Reels and TikToks or whatever, just those funk music, that's sampled trap and it's chopped and screwed. Yeah. I feel like all those samples with Project Pat are taken from this album. It's really good. Yeah, so Getty Green by Project Pat, In Our Lifetime by 8Ball and MJG. I thought that was really good. Uncontrolled Substance by Inspectah Deck. I like that a lot. I didn't even really know that existed. Really good rapping. Few really good songs on there. It's worth listening to. It's not any of Wu-Tang's best work, but it's worth it. And same goes with GZA's album. I forget what it's called. Oh, Beneath the Surface by GZA. It's kind of similar to Uncontrolled Substance. It's just pretty good rapping. Not the best of Wu-Tang, but it's also worth listening to. And that was all I was going to say, but I'm also going to throw out Murda Music by Mobb Deep. Not the best Mobb Deep album, but it's still better than their debut, Juvenile Hell. And but it's kind of a drop off from the infamous and Hell on Earth. But worth listening to. There's so many albums this year.
Yeah, I forgot Murda Music was even a thing.
Yeah,
it was good. I only have two quick ones. Prince Among Thieves by Prince Paul. I don't know if you guys listened, but it was a pretty cool album. I've got the feeling like a Prince Among Thieves, and he kind of like has a bunch of skits. Like, it's a very skit heavy album, but it's like all telling a story of like this guy putting everything towards becoming a rapper, like getting in with the wrong crowd in order to blow up his brand and get studio time and stuff. And it's kind of told as if it's like a fairy tale. At least that's what I got from the title and kind of how it's all set up. But the production's crazy on it. Prince Paul's a really good rapper. It was a cool album. And my other one is Guerrilla Warfare by the Hot Boys. It's like the Hot Boys, if you don't know, are like Lil Wayne, Juvenile, bunch of New Orleans guys with Manny Fresh producing. And oh man, are the beats on this album insane. Manny Fresh, I don't know what he was up to in the late 90s, but it's some of the craziest shit I've ever heard. And like I said, in 1998, it's always cool to hear young Lil Wayne, how good he was when he was a teenager, and all those guys. That album almost made my top 5. I was so into it.
Yeah, gotta remember 99, 17-year-old Wayne, first album, The Block Is Hot.
Yeah, we didn't.
Which is the start. It's the start of the type of beats in rap that I historically do not care for. Beats that sound like cash registers chinging, just kind of usually not my favorite.
Guys,
and that's what a lot of the early 2000s is.
We can't forget to state this too. You're the biggest letdown of the year, and probably his worst album, Jay-Z Volume 3. Nothing special.
No,
it's probably his worst album, which is a shame. It has to be.
I hope so. I hope nothing after this is worse.
There's some good stuff on there, but
yeah, there's some. It's not like terrible, but it's definitely his worst.
Yeah, Big Pimpin', one of Jay's top tier songs, but the rest on there are just not.
One of the most overrated songs ever made.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I'm kind of getting sick of Big Pimpin', especially after I even heard him say that it's just like his least favorite song or hit song. It's just not the content I need.
It doesn't bump.
I'm fine with it.
It's not. It's just lame. It's a lame song.
It's not the content I need,
it's
but SSLP is your number one album of the year.
Yeah.
That's the content you need?
Yeah, because it's different. It's different.
No, I'm kidding, of course.
But, no, Big Pimpin', the instrumental's so sick.
No.
But it's just, I don't really care for it. Yeah, it is, Nick. You're no fun.
I'm the funnest guy, you know.
Fun guy. Big Kawhi guy.
We're going to go into our top 5. So, Matt, why don't you start us off?
My number 5, which I did not expect at all, I think, as of right now, is Internal Affairs by Pharoahe Monch. For some reason, the rapping... So before that album, before I listened to it, I only knew Simon Says. I've known that song for years. Awesome song. I had no idea the rest of that album was so... I thought it was one of the best lyrical albums of the 90s for some reason. I don't know if it's because how he raps, but as of right now, that album's hitting me super hard. And the song it's like the second to last track. It's called The Truth. That's like one of my favorite songs of all time at the moment. So I have to go with that. It's hard to leave one out that I was going to say, but number 4, I think I'm going to go with, dude, I might have to go with, for number 4, I might have to go with Things Fall Apart by the Roots. Dude, Black Thought. Dude, it might be my favorite Roots album. I don't know. I might like it more than Illadelph Half-Life. I don't know why, but I'm going to have to listen to those back to back. But this is probably my favorite Roots album. Number 3, I'm doing Black on Both Sides by Mos Def. There's like 5 songs on that album that I did like all week. I wasn't able to listen to many albums this week, but I was just kind of listening to songs, and I probably listened to Black on Both Sides, like a handful of songs there, like 20 times in a row every single morning this week. Number 2, Operation Doomsday by MF Doom. Haven't listened to it in a long time. I always had songs saved like Doomsday, Rhymes Like Dimes, but songs in the middle of that track list are way better than I remember, and I'm excited to get to the rest of MF Doom's discography because, dude, he's all time. The album cover, like, this album looks and feels and sounds like 1999 to me. It's like the pinnacle of underground rap. I don't know. And number 1, Slim Shady LP by Eminem. I had to listen to it twice. I'm the biggest Eminem guy. You guys are used to that, but so the first time I listened to it last week, I was like, wait, do I not like this as much as I used to? And I had to listen to it again. I was like, no, I still like it. It's still like in my top 2 or 3 Eminem albums, but it's listening to it now, the older I get, it's a little crazy. Can't believe I was so into that growing up, and I know every lyric. God, that shit's filthy. But I don't know. To me, it's a top 3 undisputed Eminem album. So it was, dude. This list was so hard. I had to leave out so many albums that deserved a top 5 spot, but yeah, you guys could go. This is tough.
Dude, I'm kind of shocked you left out 2001.
Same. I thought it was going to be maybe number 1, but we listened to it the other night on the stereo system on CD, and dude, it's some of the best production of all time, but I forgot that there's kind of a lot of songs that don't really matter to me. But the songs that do hit, of course, are all time. Like, it's one of the best albums ever, but I don't know. I was just way more into the rapidy rap of Pharoahe, Monch, and Black Thought and stuff. I was like, dude, I just gotta leave out this is the year for the underground, dude. I'm leaving out the mainstream shit. I had to. That's what was hitting for me this week.
Fair. All right, for my number 5, I had Operation Doomsday by MF Doom. I remember when he died, that's the first thing I put on was this album as I was sitting in my friend's cottage eating Wendy's at a table, being nothing but high class. It's just an unbelievable album. MF Doom is unlike any other rapper that has ever came before or after him. It's so unique. It's so weird. Some fantasy shit that doesn't always make sense, but it's all perfect. Number 4, I had The Master by Rakim, another amazing solo album. It is a lot of the same over and over on that, but the heavy songs are just so damn good, and I just have a soft spot for Rakim's rapping. I just think he's brilliant. Number 3, I had Blackout by Redman and Method Man. That was one of the most fun albums I think I've ever listened to in full. Both of them going back and forth with their flows, their rhyming, and their voices. They just perfectly just joined together, and that was a fantastic listen. Number 2, I had 2001 by Dr. Dre. Not every song on that album's really good, and there's some kind of bad verses on even some really good songs. But overall, it's just the greatest sound maybe ever from an album. Dr. Dre's out of his goddamn mind with those beats. It will never get old. And then number 1, I also had the Slim Shady LP, because of course I did. It's Eminem. It's the sickest shit. It's one of his best. It's early, so it was still real wild and zany and fun and raunchy and dirty and unnecessary. But it's actually the album everyone needed for the time.
I don't know that everyone needed that.
Everyone needed it. The world.
Mike, that's what was going to go in my number 4 instead of Things Fall Apart. Either The Master or Blackout, because I've been listening to those for a long time, and dude, The Master is one of my all-time albums, but for some reason, Things Fall Apart at the moment is what I prefer. But when we're looking at my history, Blackout and The Master are probably there. But as of right now, I really like Things Fall Apart. In Internal Affair, like my 4 and 5, it was going to be Blackout and The Master, but
4 and 5 was a tough one. My top 3 were kind of solidified this whole time, but 4 and 5, there's a lot of albums I could have switched out for those, and it would have been a fine list too. But that's what I went with today.
Yeah. 4 and 5 are really tough. Even 3, my bottom 3 could have been anything. But at the end of the day, for number 5, I picked I Am by Nas. I think that might be my favorite production on a Nas album. Maybe even more than Illmatic. Something about the sound on that album and Nas's storytelling always gets me every time. And I just love listening to that album. Number 4, I had Black on Both Sides by Mos Def. I have listened to that a couple times in the past, but this was definitely the most I paid attention to it, and Mos Def is just amazing. Everything he says has meaning. He's rapping so vividly, and it's just, it's insane.
Dude, Miss Fat Booty is one of the best story songs ever, in my opinion.
It's all time. I was so into it. Actually, before I keep going, I don't think I told you guys this. When I saw Jid a couple weeks ago, you know how surround sounds that sample? When he played that song, he started with the original Aretha Franklin song and had like her singing up on the screen. And then it did like the record scratch, switched to Miss Fat Booty, and then did a record scratch again, and he started surround sound. And that was such a cool thing to see.
Yeah, that's so sick.
But anyway, great song. Number 3, I had Things Fall Apart by The Roots. I don't know, guys. Every time I listen to Black Thought, it's like, I'm pretty sure he's the best rapper of all time. He, maybe not flow-wise, but lyrically, every single line he has is good. He has never said one bad line, and I could not possibly enjoy listening to him more. Number 2, I had Slim Shady LP. I don't think there's anything else left to say about it. Great album, obviously. And number 1, I had Operation Doomsday, MF Doom. Matt, I could not disagree more that this sounds like 1999. When I was listening to this the other day, I was like, oh my God, how was this made in 1999? It could be made today and sound like brand new. MF Doom with the samples and his production is some of the most overlooked ever. And obviously he's one of the best rappers of all time, if not the best. And this is his first solo album, and it was amazing.
All fair. Good list.
Thanks, man.
But because of that list, and because of the rankings, I know, we are crowning the Slim Shady LP as our number one album of 1999.
I knew
And
that.
it's about time.
I knew it was gonna win, but
Dude,
Yeah,
I'm fine with it.
it wasn't solidified my number one for like all week, but I had to go with what I've historically been. But I think that Operations Doomsday, Black on Both Sides, you could even say 2001, dude, but
You should say I can't believe neither of you had 2001 in your top 5.
dude, I've always been into it, but listening to it, it's like my favorite production ever, but a lot of the rapping just doesn't cut it, and a lot of the songs I just don't really care about at this point.
Dude, they're all 10 out of 10 albums, but
Yeah.
when I think about what I like more, 2001 is not in that for me.
Dude, I had no idea I was going to beat that into Internal Affairs. It probably would have not have made the list if The Truth wasn't on it. It's like my favorite song right now. I don't know if you guys took a second and like read along to the lyrics and shit, but it's all time.
It's all time.
3 verses. It like might be the best Pharoahe Monch verse, might be the best Common verse, might be the best Talib Kweli verse. Like, I don't know. It's so good. Black on
Fair
Both
enough.
Sides, you could say, is the best. I don't know, but we're
Yeah.
like the biggest Eminem guys, so it's just kind of how it goes.
Yeah, and dude, think about how crazy it must have been in 1999 to hear that vulgar of rap that doesn't surround like, it's not surrounding like illegal violence, like gangbanging and shit like that. Like, it's not the same level of hard.
It's a horrible
way-
guy.
It's way different. It's, you know, it's some detailed, visual, picturesque horror scenes, some funky beats, some of the craziest flows, and high-pitched Eminem voice, too.
Nasally.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, the funniest part is that one, I think the skit's called Bitch, and it's like the girl complaining on the phone to her friend. She's like, I hate this guy. I'm going to call his agent. And it cuts to him. He's like, I'm going to attempt to drown myself. You could be just like me.
Yeah.
Role Model's the best song.
I think Role
Wanna do
Model's
our
the
top
best
threes?
song.
Yeah.
Sure.
Dude, before we do that, though, I want to say that My Name Is might be the number one song, like, intro song on an album, especially considering what it meant then and what it means now. Just coming out with that, holy shit. What a way to proclaim your existence.
It was the start of something huge, larger than life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we'll go into our top 3 songs. It's My Fault.
No, dude, I was saying My Fault is so funny because it's the only song on there where he actually has like a conscience and he's like has somewhat decent thoughts, but he still ends up killing someone.
Dude, yeah. It's definitely in a list of like unserious songs. It's definitely the most unserious possible.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you have a song "Come On Everybody," and that's even more serious than My Fault.
Dude, and it's so... Dude, come on, everybody. That title, what he's saying, and then the bass line is some of the funniest shit. And it's like, ding, 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 ding. And he's saying the worst shit. It's so quirky and bad. I can't believe how much adults hated him.
No, I get it. Looking back, it's like it makes sense why people were afraid for their children to listen to this.
It's so hateable.
Yeah.
He's not saying
But it's
anything
also-
nice. Everything's mean and nasty.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Still don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
That's how he ends it. All right, so Matt, you want to start with your top 3?
Yeah. All right, I'm leaving 2 off that I wish I could do top 5 so I could say 2 of them, but my top 3 are number 3, Still Don't Give a Fuck. Number 2, probably Come On Everybody. And number 1 is Role Model. It's really hard to keep off I'm Shady and Bad Meets Evil, though. Dude, it's hard to leave off a lot, but those are historically my 3 favorite lyrics and stuff. It's fun. 3 different songs. A lot of the songs are different, even though they're all hard and shit. But
yeah, I would say mine is Role Model, because having a song called Role Model and then showing why you're the worst role model possible, amazing. That's so funny. And this is no order. It's also Bad Meets Evil. Anything with him and Royce together on some funny, zany shit, I'm always a huge fan of, and they do a great job here. And then it's also Come On Everybody, because why not? It's like borderline like a fun club song. Like, you could dance to it, but at the same time, not at all.
dude, because the bass line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy how good Royce was, even all the way back then. Like, just because I had never even heard of him until, like, college. And hearing him in 1999, and he was still, like, as good as he is today. It was nuts. Mm-hmm. But, my top 3 are Just Don't Give a Fuck, Bad Meets Evil, and Role Model. I think Just Don't Give a Fuck has, like, ever since the first time I listened, has always been up there for me. He just goes so hard on that song, and the way he's rapping over that beat is a lot of fun to listen to.
Mm-hmm.
I'm surprised you left out I'm Shady.
I was the most I'm Shady. Remember that? It's like all
Dude,
I played.
It's hard to leave that one off.
Yeah, that one's
Dude,
super
and I
good.
also love the more personal ones. 97 Bonnie and Clyde and Rock Bottom. Unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, every song really. It's one of the only Eminem albums that I would say I'm not really skipping a song on. Might be the only Eminem album, to be honest.
Yeah, minus the skits.
Yeah.
It's unskippable. Yeah.
Dude, so this past week was the first time I thought this, but not in any way like the sound or the style, but what the album is, like the idea of it kind of reminded me of Ready to Die. Did you guys get that at all?
Not really.
Because he's playing like...
You explained it, maybe.
He's playing like this character, and obviously Slim Shady is not to Marshall Mathers like what the Notorious B.I.G. is to Biggie Smalls. Ready to Die was much more realistic, but like it had songs like Guilty Conscience where there's 2 different characters, even though Dr. Dre's one of them, and it's like every song is about a different situation, or like the subject matter is always different, but it's all going along with this character doing terrible things. And then there's some songs where he feels bad about himself, and like, I don't know, I kind of just drew that comparison, and I was like, wow.
No, it makes sense. Dude, I also think what's so funny and Just Don't Give a Fuck, like right in the beginning of the song, he's like, I'm buzzing, dirty dozen, naughty rotten rhymer, cursing at you players worse than Marty Schottenheimer. Dude, I remember I saw it, there was like an ESPN poll, and they were like, what are the best lyrics that use like sports terms? And that was on there. Yeah. I was like, dude, what?
It's like, so random.
Dude, just being able to rhyme Marty Schottenheimer in a song is crazy.
Who is that?
Yeah.
He was the coach of he's an NFL coach. I don't remember who.
Yeah, no one else has ever rhymed that name in a rap song. That's
No.
for sure.
No. Yeah.
And who's the guy that O.J. Simpson allegedly killed, even though he didn't?
Ron Goldman.
Yeah, he raps about Ron Goldman a lot on this album.
Oh, he loves rapping about that shit. Dude, the OJ situation gave him so much fuel for lyrics.
Yeah. Just
Dude,
finding the
anything
most
that could've been-
sensitive subjects and rapping very negatively about them.
Oh, yeah.
Dude, we forgot to mention the Slim Shady EP in our 1997 video. But listening to Infinite, Slim Shady EP, and then ending up at Slim Shady LP, it's pretty crazy. It's what an idea Proof had. Proof's the reason that they started the alter egos, you know? How everyone was saying, the people that did know what Infinite was, the very few people, they were like, oh, this sounds like Nas or AZ. And it wasn't working out for him. And the Infinite, his first album was like hopeful and personal, but it wasn't hardcore. And Proof was like, what if we all created like evil alter egos, and then the 6 of them created D12, 6 times 2. They all had a alter ego, and the Slim Shady alter ego is an all-time character in pop culture.
It's the best alter ego.
Yeah.
It was a big deal.
Because could you imagine if Eminem was actually this character in real life?
Dude.
Oh, he'd
He
been in jail
shot and
in
killed.
2000.
Yeah.
Even just his
Yeah.
even just like the attitude.
Yeah, he'd be the biggest fucking dickhead on earth.
He'd not be
If
famous.
this was real. No.
Well, maybe famous for
Infamous.
quite different reasons.
Yeah. Like killing Kim. All right. I want to thank you guys for watching this video. Eminem wins 1999. Probably not going to be the last year he wins, but we'll try to make it fair. And as always, if you have any comments, if you have a top 5 list, if you disagree with anything we said, please leave a comment in our comment section. We reply to all of them. If you aren't already, please subscribe, like the video, share it, do whatever. And thank you for watching. Peace.